You know that strange, heavy feeling you get sometimes? The one that creeps in when everything should feel right, but somehow doesn't? You've checked all the boxes, got the degree, landed the job, built the routine. You're doing everything right. And yet, something inside still whispers, why do I feel so lost? This is the silent crisis no one talks about. Not failure, not chaos, but the emptiness that appears after success. Because what happens when the world says, you made it, but your soul quietly disagrees? The illusion of the checklist life. See, we've been raised to believe that life is linear, a straight road, paved with milestones. Do this, get that, achieve more, and eventually, you'll feel complete. But here's the truth that hits hardest. You can win every external game and still lose yourself. You can be the one everyone admires, the one who's figured it out, and still wake up every morning feeling like something's missing. Not because you're broken, but because you've been living on autopilot, checking boxes instead of checking in. When you do everything right and still feel wrong, you followed the rules. You played safe. You did what successful people do. But somewhere along the way, you stopped asking yourself the most important question. Why am I doing any of this? Maybe you wanted approval. Maybe you were chasing stability. Maybe you were just afraid of being left behind. And that's okay, we all are. But one day you wake up and realize you've built a life that looks perfect on paper, but doesn't feel like yours. That's not failure. That's disconnection. A quiet drift between your outer world and your inner truth. The danger of success without purpose. Success without alignment is like running full speed in the wrong direction. You're moving, you're grinding, you're achieving. But deep down, you feel this invisible exhaustion, the kind that coffee, vacations, or new goals can't fix. You tell yourself you just need a break. But rest doesn't cure emptiness, because the problem isn't your schedule, it's your silence. You've stopped listening to your own voice. And in that silence, the noise of the world gets louder. The world tells you what to want. More money, more validation, more followers, more everything. But the more you chase more, the further you drift from meaning. Why clarity feels so far away? Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from listening deeper. And most people never do. They mistake busyness for purpose. They think constant motion means progress. But you can run forever without direction and still end up exactly where you started. Confused, tired, and numb. So, let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in silence and asked yourself, what do I actually want? Not what your parents want, not what your friends expect, not what social media celebrates, but you, the real you, beneath all the noise. The courage to stop pretending. Here's the part nobody warns you about. The moment you stop pretending, you'll feel even more lost at first. Because, for the first time, you're not following a script. You're writing your own, and that's terrifying. There's no map, no applause, no guarantee. But there's also something else. Freedom. Freedom to make mistakes. Freedom to explore. Freedom to live a life that actually feels alive. Being lost isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of being honest. The truth about feeling empty. You don't feel empty because you're failing. You feel empty because you've outgrown the life you built. You've been climbing a ladder, leaning against the wrong wall. And somewhere deep inside, you know it. That's why the promotion didn't fix it. That's why the new relationship didn't fill it. That's why every next step feels like déjà vu. Because fulfillment doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters. How to find direction again. So, how do you fix it? How do you stop feeling lost when everything around you looks fine? You stop looking outward and start looking inward. You grab a notebook and you write brutally honestly. 3 simple questions. What do I really want? Why do I want it? Who told me I should want it? Be honest, painfully honest. If your answer makes you uncomfortable, good. That's where the truth starts showing up. Because here's the catch. You can't find yourself while living someone else's story. When the mask starts to fall, we live in a world where pretending is rewarded. Pretend to be confident. Pretend to be happy. Pretend to have it all figured out. But every mask you wear costs you a piece of your soul. And over time, the weight of pretending becomes unbearable. That's why people with perfect lives suddenly break down. That's why the ones who seem happiest online feel the loneliest offline. They're performing instead of living. And eventually, every performance ends. So, when you feel lost, when you feel that quiet ache inside, don't run from it. That's your soul trying to get your attention. Listen, don't silence it with busyness. Don't drown it in distractions. Just listen. Listening to the voice within. That voice that says, I don't want this anymore. Or, this isn't me. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. It's the part of you that still remembers what you love, what excites you, what gives you peace. And it's been waiting patiently for you to stop running long enough to hear it. Maybe it's time to start over. Not because you failed, but because you finally understand what you truly need. Redefining success. Real success isn't about applause. It's about alignment. It's not how much you achieve. It's how much of it feels right. You can build a career, buy the car, move to the big city, but if none of it reflects who you are, you'll always feel off, like living in someone else's skin. So start redefining success for yourself. Ask, what does a good life look like for me? What kind of person do I want to become? Because when you define success in your own terms, you stop chasing and start creating. The mirror moment. There's a mirror moment in everyone's life. A moment when you realize you've been running towards something that doesn't even feel good. And that moment hurts. It shatters illusions. It forces you to admit you've been lost for a long time. But it also gives you power. Because now, you can change direction. You don't have to burn everything down overnight. You just need to take one honest step toward yourself. Start small, but start real. Write down what lights you up. The things that make hours disappear. The moments where you forget to check your phone. The times you feel peaceful, grounded, whole. Those are clues. That's your compass. Follow them, even if they make no sense yet. Follow them quietly, consistently. Because every time you choose authenticity over approval, you find another piece of yourself. The myth of having it all together. Let's be real. Nobody has it all figured out. Some people are just better at pretending. They hide behind smiles, success, and small talk. But inside, they're asking the same questions as you. Is this really it? Is this all there is? So, don't shame yourself for feeling lost. It's not a flaw, it's a sign of awakening. The lost ones are usually the ones brave enough to question. And every great transformation starts with confusion. That's not the end of the road. That's the start of a new one. The beauty of being lost. Being lost isn't failure, it's feedback. It means your soul refuses to settle. It means something inside you knows there's more to life than this. It means you're ready to stop existing and start living. Because being lost is simply your inner self saying, I'm still searching for home. And home isn't a place. It's a feeling. It's peace. It's authenticity. It's when what you do, say, and believe are finally the same thing. The quiet revolution. The world doesn't need more successful people. It needs more aligned people. People who live from truth, not pressure. People who build from purpose, not fear. People who wake up excited, not just obligated. That's what this whole journey is about. Not chasing some perfect version of life, but reconnecting with the version of yourself you left behind, while trying to impress everyone else. Your new beginning. So if you're watching this right now, and you feel lost, and you don't know what's next, that's okay. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't panic. Just breathe. Because the moment you stop fighting the feeling, you start understanding it. The emptiness isn't punishment. It's invitation. An invitation to begin again. This time, with intention. You're not lost because you're doing everything wrong. You're lost because you've forgotten to listen. You've forgotten the sound of your own heart, the things that make you you. And once you start listening again, once you start writing your story instead of reading someone else's, the fog begins to lift. You start to see clearly. You start to feel again. You start to come home. So, remember this. You're not lost. You're just not listening to yourself yet.